If you have a cat, you've probably seen it sprawled out in a sunbeam, looking like it absolutely owns the place. But the story of how that cat got to your living room, well, it's way more recent and a lot more turbulent than you probably think. Okay, let's get into it. For thousands of years, cats really just lived on the edges of our world. Their path to becoming our pampered buddies wasn't a straight line at all. In fact, for a long, long time, it looked like it might not even happen. The shift from the cat as a required pest controller to a cherished family member is, believe it or not, incredibly recent. For most of history, a cat wasn't really a pet. It was a tool. It was valued for one thing and one thing only: its ability to kill mice and rats. Yeah, after a really promising start back in ancient Egypt, the cat's rise to global stardom just hit a wall. For almost 2,000 years, its popularity stalled out, and its journey was anything but certain. That's right, 2 millennia. Think about that. While the dog was busy becoming man's best friend in about a dozen different ways, the cat's progress was held back by a couple of very specific and very feline problems. So here's what it all boils down to. Unlike the dog, which could guard us, herd for us, and hunt with us, the cat pretty much had one job: pest control. It was a specialist. Add to that its strict meat-only diet, which meant it couldn't just live on our scraps. And that revered status it had in Egypt, yeah, that became a serious liability later on in Christian Europe. It was a recipe for a very, very slow climb to the top. But how do we even know all this? How can we track such a complicated history? Well, this is where it gets really cool. We can actually trace the cat's journey and its relationship with us through a secret story, one that's told in its fur. So for most of history, all domestic cats basically looked like their wild ancestors. They had that striped or mackerel tabby pattern. But then a new mutation created the blotched tabby with its really cool marbled swirls. And what's wild is that because this blotched pattern is recessive, a cat needs 2 copies of the gene to actually show it, which makes its spread across the world even more remarkable. This one pattern gives us this incredible window into the cat's history. Geneticists have traced this blotch pattern all the way back to Britain in the late Middle Ages. It became super common there, and then, like a genetic footprint, it just spread across the globe. And you can literally see it in the data. You can track British colonization just by looking at the percentage of blotched tabbies. In Britain, about 80% of cats carry the gene. But in the northeastern US, which was settled by the British, it's about 45%. Then you go to Spanish-settled areas like Texas, and it's much lower, closer to what you'd see in Spain today. The cats just followed the people. But here's the big mystery. Why? Why did this pattern become so successful in Britain to begin with? Was it better camouflage? Did people just think it looked cooler and started breeding for it? The truth is, scientists still don't have a clear answer. The rise of the blotched tabby is still one of the great unsolved puzzles in the story of the cat. Okay, so let's get to that second massive hurdle that stalled the cat's rise: its diet. And this wasn't just about being a picky eater. This was a biological trap that really defined the cat's relationship with us for centuries. You see, cats are what scientists call obligate carnivores. This is absolutely key. Unlike dogs, which are omnivores and can get by on our scraps, cats physically cannot survive without meat. At some point, millions of years ago, their ancestors became such specialized hunters that their bodies just lost the ability to process nutrients from plants. And the consequences of that were huge. For a cat to be healthy and to reproduce, it had to hunt successfully. Human leftovers just weren't going to cut it. This totally locked the cat into the role of a hunter. Hunting wasn't a hobby. It was a biological necessity. So what changed? What finally broke this 2,000-year-old pattern and allowed the cat to finally move from the barn into the bedroom? The answer is a revolution that happened right under our noses, and probably within our lifetimes. This is the number that changes everything. 35 years. That's it. Commercially produced, nutritionally complete cat food has only been widely available for about the last 35 years. That's a tiny, tiny fraction of the time since domestication even began. This single invention created this bright, clear dividing line in history. Before the 1980s, a cat that couldn't or wouldn't hunt was at a serious evolutionary disadvantage. After the 1980s, for the first time in its entire history, hunting became optional. This one innovation completely changed what it means to be a domestic cat. Just think about that for a second. Freed from the biological need to constantly be hunting, the cat's role in our lives could finally evolve. Its transformation from a working animal into a companion has happened almost entirely within our own lifetimes. It's an incredible, compressed evolution. So the next time you look at your cat, remember its wild heart and its incredibly recent journey into your home. Its story is still being written, and with its relationship with us changing so fast, it really makes you wonder, what will the cat of the future even look like?